Want to make £100,000 a year from property? It sounds like a pipe dream, but the truth is it's actually achievable. Not overnight and not with one magic deal. But with the right plan, the numbers stack up. The problem is most investors start with the wrong strategy and end up stuck with one or two rentals that barely make it worth the hassle. So in this video, I'll show you the 3 strategies that can get you to £100,000 a year, why progress feels so slow at first, and the simple rule of thumb that can help you achieve financial freedom. Let's start by looking at the trap that most investors fall into. To do that, I want you to imagine that you've just bought your first rental property. You've saved for years, scraped together the deposit, and finally got the keys. The estate agent says they'll have found the right tenant within a week. You run the numbers and think, £1,200 a month in rent? That's going to change everything. Then fast forward a year. After the mortgage, insurance, letting fees, maintenance, and the odd unexpected boiler repair, you're now left with about £400 a month, so about £5,000 a year. That's not exactly financial freedom. And you're not alone. Government data shows that more than half of UK landlords own just one property, and most of them make less than £10,000 a year. For all the hassle, that's hardly worth it. The problem is scale, or a lack of it. At 1 or 2 properties, your portfolio is fragile. One bad tenant can wipe out your profits. To reach £100,000 a year, you're talking about 10, 15, maybe even 20 properties. That sounds like a lot, and it does take a lot of capital. This isn't an overnight process. But the good news is you don't need all the money on day one. You can build your portfolio step by step, refinancing and reinvesting over time. So how do you actually do it? Well, I'm about to share 3 realistic strategies that can get you from 0 to 100k. Let's start by talking about George, a software developer living in Manchester. He earns a really good income, about £150,000 a year. And while he doesn't hate his job, he doesn't want to do it forever either. So instead of working into his 60s to maintain a lifestyle he doesn't even have time to enjoy, what he really wants is freedom. And to get that, he needs an income that doesn't rely on him showing up every day. So he puts down a £75,000 deposit on a £200,000 flat in a promising part of Manchester. He takes his time, researches the area, and makes sure he's buying in a location with growth potential, not just the first place within budget. After the mortgage and all expenses, the flat generates around £400 a month in profit. Nothing dramatic, but it's a start. Over the next 4 years, George saves around £12,000 a year. The value of his first flat continues to grow, and he refinances it to release £25,000. He adds the equity to his savings and uses it to buy property number 2. Now he has 2 flats, bringing in a total of £800 a month. Still modest, but with every property he buys, it gets easier and faster to get his hands on the next one. In years 5 to 10, George uses that same mix of equity releases and savings to buy 4 more properties, bringing his total to 6. Each one is a solid, reliable single let in a strong rental area, netting £400 to £450 a month. By year 10, George is earning roughly £2,500 a month in passive income, which is great, but still not enough. It's year 11 though, where the compounding effect really kicks in. With 6 properties growing in value and rents increasing, George is able to refinance multiple units in a short space of time. Over the next 5 years, he adds another 6 properties, bringing his total to 12. His income is now over £5,000 a month. This is the point at which George could go part-time, change careers, or take a sabbatical. But he keeps on going. By year 16, George has a portfolio working in his favour on every level. Capital growth, rent increases, and years of compounding. He uses one final wave of refinancing, plus some savings, to buy another 6 properties, bringing his total to 18. At this scale, with most properties generating between £450 and £500 a month, and all being looked after by letting agents, George is bringing in £8,000 a month, or £100,000 a year, pretty much passively. Of course, 20 years from now, £100,000 won't buy you the same lifestyle it does today. But we've looked at everything in today's money to keep things simple, so you can see clearly how the numbers build up. And George has achieved all of this without chasing super high yields, taking risky bets, or buying cheap but rundown properties with ambitious plans to renovate. He just buys well in strong areas, recycles his equity in moderation to build his portfolio faster, and holds for long enough to actually benefit from the growth. If this doesn't sound like the right fit for you though, that's okay, because as I'm about to explain, this isn't the only way to get to £100,000 a year. But if you're watching this and wondering how you'll even find the time to get started, our free course, How to Invest in Property When You Have No Time, walks you through building a portfolio step by step, even when it feels like there aren't enough hours in the day. There's a link in the description. Construction worker Ashley has a different method. He just turned 40 and is tired of working long hours in bad weather and using his skills to build other people's wealth instead of his own. He knows how to spot a good property, how much it would cost to fix it up, and most importantly, how to get the job done without wasting a penny. So he goes all in, saving up £60,000, enough to buy a rundown terrace for £100,000. On top of the deposit, he spends £25,000 on the renovation, plus another £10,000 on fees and costs. 6 months later, he sells the house for £180,000, turning the £60,000 in cash that he started out with into £100,000. Then he moves on to his next flip. This time buying a slightly larger house for £150,000 and spending £35,000 doing it up. It sells for a sweet £250,000, and after costs, he pockets another £45,000. He now has £185,000 in equity, enough to buy a buy-to-let without using up all his flipping funds. So he buys a 2-bedroom house for £200,000, putting down a £50,000 deposit. After all the bills and mortgage payments, he's clearing £450 a month in profit. It's not enough to retire, but it's a start. And crucially, it's money coming in without him having to lift a finger, meaning he still has time to complete 6 more flips and buy 6 more buy-to-lets over an 8-year period. Once he reaches 7 rentals, he's making £3,150 a month in profit. By year 9, he slows down on the flipping and focuses instead on building his portfolio. He pulls equity out of his existing properties to buy more and grows his portfolio to 14 buy-to-lets, bringing in £6,300 a month in total. Then, in years 15 to 17, he takes a step back and lets time and patience do the heavy lifting. With rents climbing year after year, he manages to increase his profit on each property from around £450 to £575. And by age 57, he's making £8,000 a month, about £100,000 a year, all from his portfolio, meaning he can retire early on a much larger income than he would have done if he'd just stuck to construction. But what if you don't have the skills that he does? Well, don't worry, because I've got another strategy for you. Naomi is 26, earns £100,000 a year, and has £70,000 in her savings account. She's determined to make her money work harder than she ever could on a salary. She's always liked the idea of investing in property, but when she runs the numbers on a standard buy-to-let, the returns look underwhelming, maybe a few £100s a month in profit. It's not bad, but it's not life-changing either. That's until she starts reading up about student housing, and suddenly it clicks. Instead of renting an entire house to a single family, what if she rents out each room individually? She looks deeper and finds examples of landlords turning tired old terraces into houses in multiple occupation, or HMOs, and clearing £100,000 or more a month in profit, all from a single property. It's exactly what she's been looking for: high cash flow and a faster path to freedom. Naomi spends months researching the market in Leeds and eventually buys her first property, tired 4-bedroom house for £240,000. With the help of a friend in construction, she converts it into a 6-bedroom licensed HMO. The renovation costs her £35,000, and by the time she's finished, each room rents for £550 a month, bringing in £3,300 a month in total rent. After all expenses, mortgage payments and maintenance, Naomi is left with £1,050 a month in profit. 2 years later, she refinances to release some cash. The area has grown in popularity and the property has risen in value, so she pulls out £25,000 in equity, combines it with her savings from rent, and buys her second HMO, again for around £250,000. Same model, 6 rooms, modest refurb, strong tenant demand. This gives her another £1,100 a month in profit, meaning she's now making more than £2,000 in total. Naomi doesn't stop there. Over the next 4 years, she repeats the process, saving rent, refinancing properties as values rise, and keeping her expenses as low as possible. She adds 2 more HMOs and then another. By the end of year 6, she owns 5 HMOs, each bringing in around £1,100 a month. That's about £5,500 a month in total income. As her experience and confidence grows, Naomi takes on slightly larger projects and upgrades to 7-bedroom HMOs in better locations. These earn her closer to £1,200 a month each. She picks up 2 more properties in years 7 and 8. And now, with 7 HMOs, her total monthly profit crosses £8,000 a month, more than enough to cover her living expenses and give her complete control over her time. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. This strategy means more regulation, more management, more moving parts. By the end, she's juggling nearly 50 tenants, all potentially moving in and out at different times. So it won't be right for everyone. But if you can handle the complexity, it can potentially be far faster to hit 6 figures than standard buy-to-lets or flips. So now you've seen all 3 models, the steady route, the hands-on route, and the high-yield route. Which one is right for you? Well, that depends. Because George has shown us the slow and steady buy-to-let route. Ashley has showed us how to compensate for having less cash by putting in more time and applying his skills. And Naomi showed us that high-yield HMOs can potentially get us there faster. But when you see people arguing about what is the best strategy, they're missing the point. The truth is, each of them can work. It just depends on your circumstances. If you want something simple and reliable, standard buy-to-lets are the easiest to manage, but it takes the longest to get there. If you've got the time and skills for projects, flipping accelerates your capital growth. And if you can handle more complexity, HMOs generate the most cash flow in the shortest time. And you don't have to stick to one forever. You might start out with flips to build capital, then switch to buy-to-lets for stability. Or you could begin with single lets to get comfortable, then move into HMOs when you're ready to scale. And here's the golden rule: aim for 1 property per year. Now, I know that's not easy, but no matter which option you choose, the snowball effect will start working in your favour. If you fall behind in the early years, equity growth will let you catch up later on. You can release cash and use the rental income that you've saved up to buy multiple properties in a single year. What matters is consistency. Keep adding, keep holding, and you'll be amazed at where you are in 10 or 20 years without ever having to take wild risks. So yes, £100,000 a year from property is achievable, but only if you go beyond 1 or 2 rentals. The key is scale, patience, and the snowball effect. It feels slow at first, but as your portfolio grows, the numbers accelerate. But even if you build the perfect portfolio, you could still end up losing a big chunk of your income if you don't set it up the right way. So before you go any further, watch this video where I explain whether you should build your portfolio in your own name or through a limited company.